Today I'm going to create a table in DynamoDB to save data for my application. And I'm also going to make a Lambda function that will put the data or insert the data into DynamoDB. Let's go ahead and get started. I have DynamoDB right here. If you don't have it, go ahead and search Dynamo right here in the search bar and it'll pop up. Then you'll click on it wherever you find it and you'll be presented with a create table option. We're going to create our table. And I think I'm going to call this Bigfoot Sightings. And the partition key, I am going to call user ID. I'm creative like that. I'm not going to put a sort key on here. And we're going to keep everything default. I'm going to hit create table. I hit this refresh button when my video was paused. It only took about 10 seconds for this to become active. Now remember, we only defined our partition key, the user ID, as a string. We didn't make any columns if you're thinking of the way of relational databases. Those will be created on the fly when we insert our data into our Bigfoot sightings table. Now we can write a Lambda function to insert data into our table. All right, so I'm going to go over to AWS here in the corner. I'm going to right click, open link in new tab, go to that tab, and then I'm going to hit my Lambda under recently visited. And I got a bunch of functions, but I'm going to create a new one. So if you don't have the screen, just look for create function, author from scratch. We're going to rename this. I'm going to call this Bigfoot-dyn-insert. Now here's something very important. Under runtime, the Node.js for version 18, it has a lot of changes and it's not documented well and it's really difficult to get working. So we'll wait for a few weeks. I'll do an upgrade video maybe, and then we'll do Node.js 16. If you don't do that, you are going to spend a lot of time today trying to get this working. All right, I'm going to go down to create function and give that a second or two. There we go. We got our function created successfully. Let's go down and take a look at our code. Make sure code is selected right here. Index.js is selected and you have your Lambda function. On the top line, I'm going to write const AWS equals require open parenthesis. This is pretty small. Let's make this bigger. 1, 2. How about 125? So we'll do single quote here, and then I'm going to do AWS SDK. What else do I need? I need my DynamoDB, so I'll say const dyn new AWS.DynamoDB and open parenthesis, open curly bracket. Let's pass in a region. And this is where your table's at. US East 1. So if you don't remember where your table is, just go ahead and check it. Make sure that you have that the same. US East 1. All right, what else do we need? In our handler, I am going to get rid of this async. I'm going to use a callback. Right, so I'm also going to put context because I want to get my Cognito ID and then call back. Nice. I'm going to leave this code in here for now. I'm just going to put my stuff right above it. Let's get, we need to get parameters and we're going to hard code the data. We would be getting this from our data coming through here from the API, from API gateway, but I want to do one thing at a time. So let's do this const params equals open curly bracket. And we're going to have an item and we're going to have a table, right? So the table is going to be the table name we just created. The item is what we're going to be inserting. So I'm going to say item, open curly bracket, and we're going to get a user ID. I'll do double quotes. User ID, colon, open curly bracket, S for string. And we're just going to make up a user ID. How about barbecue Jim 123? Whoops. Close curly bracket, and we're going to need something for our title. That'll be a string, and we'll say found him, right? It's Bigfoot, found him. Close curly bracket, and what else? Ooh, post text. We will have like photos and stuff like that. I have a photo associated with each entry and a lat long, but not right now. We'll add to that. So we'll get this will be a string too. All right, it says I was down by the lake. How about there I was down by the lake. And it'll continue on with his tale of Bigfoot. All right, that's going to be the item we're going to insert. So we'll put a parenthesis or a comma there, and then we have to put the table that we wanted inserted in. And we are going to say table name to identify that table name. And I think we call it Bigfoot sightings. All right, that looks good. Put a semicolon here. And then we're just going to do our put, right? We'll have a dyn, that's our Dynamo stuff. Put item, params, and then we could do our function, our callback function. So the second argument will be the function. We'll get an error, a possible error, and data. Let's do a curly bracket. If error, not then, open curly bracket, callback, and we'll send the error. Else, callback, error, and data. There we go. Let's get rid of this. And let's put a semicolon there. Now, before this will work, we have to give permission for Lambda to talk to DynamoDB. Let's scroll up a little bit, look under configuration, and then we'll go to permissions. And here's our execution role. This one was created when we made our Lambda. Let's click on that. And we'll scroll down a little bit. Yep, add permission. How about that? Add permission, attach policies. And I want to look for a Dynamo one. dyn. And let's just go with full access for now while we're testing. Add permissions. Looking good. So we're in the IAM management console. Let's go back to our Lambda right here, Lambda. And I'm at my Bigfoot Dyn insert. I'm going to go to code, and we got our code back. Now we're going to set this up to work with our AWS API gateway, but for now, we could just test it. Let's go ahead and configure a test. Hit the arrow, configure test event, click on that. And I'm just going to call this test put. We don't have to worry about this because we hard-coded our values. Let's hit save. And we need to deploy it. So let's go ahead and hit deploy. Now we're going to fire this thing off. Hit test. Oh, look at that. And we got some execution results. Let's go over to our table. There we go. Let's click on the table, Bigfoot sightings. And we're going to explore table items. Let's take a look. Let's do a little refresh. Look at that. Barbecue Jim, 1, 2, 3. And we have some data, right? So we have our user ID, the post. There I was down by the lake. And the title is Found Him. So we found Bigfoot. Pretty good. We'll add to this in other videos. I will see you then.